You know that old joke about Chinese cars? That they're all the same, cheap, and fall apart after the first winter. If you still think that, you've never seen a Zeekr. Zeekr isn't just another battery-powered startup. It's the premium sub-brand of Geely. And Geely is a massive holding company that owns Volvo, Lotus, Polestar, and half the automotive world. So when you look at a Zeekr, you're looking at a car built on Swedish engineering standards with German designers and Chinese speed to market. That combination, it's dangerous for everyone else. Since launching in 2021, Zeekr has released multiple models, each one targeting a different segment, each one punching way above its weight class. In Europe, where they've started selling, reviewers are genuinely confused. How can a car this good cost this little? The Zeekr 7X, the mid-size electric SUV that's already taking orders by the thousands, and the Zeekr 8X, the brand new plug-in hybrid flagship that just launched in China with specs that sound like science fiction. One is pure electric, one is hybrid. Both are designed to do one thing: make you question why you'd ever buy German again. Let's get into it. Let's start with the 7X. This is Zeekr's most important car, not because it's the fastest or the most expensive, but because it sits in the segment that actually matters: mid-size electric SUVs, the Tesla Model Y segment, the BMW iX3 segment, the segment where real money is made, and the numbers prove it. In Australia alone, before the 7X even officially launched, Zeekr had 2,000 orders. 2,000. That's more than the brand sold across all models in all of 2025. Why? Because the 7X does something simple. It gives people what they actually want. Look at the design. Zeekr calls it hidden energy. It's clean, it's modern, and it doesn't scream, "Look at me, I'm electric." The full-width light bar at the front is distinctive without being obnoxious. The silhouette is classic SUV. High beltline, sculpted shoulders, a 1:3 window-to-body ratio that screams premium. In Australia, they had to remove the fancy light curtain front light display because of crash testing rules. But even with a black cover, the 7X looks good. 3 o'clock to 4:30. Interior, the living room, visuals, 7X interior walkthrough. Focus on the screens, the materials, the rear seat features. Open the door, and here's where Zeekr's Volvo DNA shows up. The interior is welcoming, inviting. Zeekr calls it the home philosophy, and honestly, it works. The dashboard wraps around you. Soft materials everywhere, a 16-inch central screen that's crisp and responsive, a digital driver's display, and for 2026, everything runs on the latest Snapdragon chip. But the real story is the back seat. Because Zeekr understands something that Germans sometimes forget. Families buy SUVs. The 7X has 2,900 millimeters of wheelbase. That's more than enough for adults to sit comfortably behind adults. Legroom is generous. Headroom, even with the panoramic glass roof, is ample. And the features? In higher trims, rear passengers get their own climate control, heated seats, and a hidden camera that lets front passengers check on kids without turning around. There's even a fridge. An 8-liter temperature-controlled box that can cool drinks or warm baby bottles. Storage is clever too. Under the rear seats, there are pull-out drawers, perfect for hiding valuables when you lock the car. Under the skin, the 7X is built on the SEA platform, the same architecture that underpins the Lotus Eletre and the Polestar 4. That's good company. The lineup comes in 3 flavors: rear-wheel drive, 75 kilowatt-hours LFP battery, 310 kilowatts, 440 newton meters, 0 to 60 in 6.0 seconds, range around 480 kilometers WLTP, starting price around $58,000 in Australia. Long-range RWD 100 kilowatt-hours NCM battery, same motor, same 6.0 seconds, but range jumps to 615 kilometers WLTP, price around $64,000. Performance AWD dual motors, 475 kilowatts, 710 newton meters, 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. Range drops slightly to 543 kilometers. Price around $73,000 or $76,000 for the new Black Special Edition. All versions use 800-volt architecture. That means charging speeds up to 450 kilowatts DC. In real terms, 10% to 80% in 10 to 16 minutes, depending on the battery. You stop for coffee, you're done before the coffee is cold. Early reviews from Australia are positive. The 7X was tested at the Bend racetrack. Not exactly the natural habitat for a 2.5-ton family SUV, but you work with what you've got. The rear drive versions are plenty quick for real-world driving. 310 kilowatts is more than enough to merge, overtake, and occasionally embarrass people at traffic lights. But on track, pushed hard, the weight becomes obvious. There's some body movement, some buffeting at high speeds. The Performance AWD with air suspension, that's a different story. The adaptive suspension tightens everything up. The car feels more planted, more controlled, more composed. In comfort mode, it floats over rough roads like a proper luxury SUV. Is it a sports car? No, but it doesn't need to be. It's a family SUV that happens to be very, very fast when you want it to be. The 7X is Zeekr's shot at the mainstream, and it's a good shot. Spacious, well-built, fast-charging, and priced aggressively. If you're shopping for a Tesla Model Y, you owe it to yourself to look at this thing. Now let's talk about the new kid, the Zeekr 8X. This is different. This isn't electric. Well, not purely electric. The 8X is a plug-in hybrid. And before you roll your eyes and say hybrids are old news, look at the specs. Because these specs are not old news. The 8X was unveiled in early 2026 and is launching in China in the first half of the year. It slots between the 7X and the flagship 9X in Zeekr's lineup, but in terms of technology, it might be the most interesting car they've built. Dimensions, massive. 5,100 millimeters long, 1,998 millimeters wide, 1,780 millimeters tall, 3,069 millimeters wheelbase. To put that in perspective, that's longer than an Audi Q7, significantly longer. This is full-size territory. The design carries over Zeekr's language, but adapts it for a more imposing presence. Split headlights with C-shaped daytime running lights, a prominent grille with vertical chrome elements. Unusual for an EV brand, but this is a hybrid, so it gets a pass. LiDAR sensors mounted on the roof, and a rear light bar with 54,893 triangular facets. Yes, they counted. Here's where things get insane. The 8X uses a 900-volt hybrid system. That's not a typo. 900 volts, in a hybrid. The combustion engine is a 2.0-liter turbo four-cylinder producing around 205 kilowatts. But the real story is the electric motors. You have options: dual motor version, 2 electric motors, combined output around 1,030 horsepower. 0 to 60 in about 3.7 seconds. Tri-motor version, 3 electric motors, total output up to 1,402 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.96 seconds. Let that sink in. A full-size, 3-row plug-in hybrid SUV weighing nearly 3 tons does 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. That's hypercar territory. That's Bugatti territory. That's are you sure this is legal territory. The battery comes in 2 sizes, 55.1 kilowatt hours and 70 kilowatt hours. Electric only range? Up to 410 kilometers on the Chinese CLTC cycle. Realistically, probably 300 to 350. Total combined range, over 1,400 kilometers. And charging? Because it's 900 volt, the 8X supports 6C ultra-fast charging. That means 20% to 80% in about 9 minutes. 9 minutes for a plug-in hybrid. That's faster than most pure EVs charge. Inside, the 8X shares some DNA with the flagship 9X, but with a sportier twist. The dashboard features 2 large displays. One for the driver, one for the passenger. Not a single curved screen, but 2 distinct screens that create a tech-forward cockpit. The gear selector is mounted on the steering column, freeing up space in the center console. That center console is massive. Physical buttons for key functions, a welcome sight in an era of touchscreen everything. Wireless charging pads with cooling fans so your phone doesn't melt. The steering wheel is angular, sporty. The headliner is microfiber suede. It feels premium without being stuffy. Seating configurations? 5 seats or 6 seats, depending on your needs. The 6-seat version gets captain's chairs in the middle row, each with power adjustment, ventilation, heating, massage. There's a ceiling-mounted screen for rear entertainment. There's a refrigerator. There's a 29-speaker Naim audio system with speakers built into the headrests. Cargo space? 1,133 liters with all seats up. 2,200 liters with the rear seats folded. You could move apartments with this thing. All that power means nothing if the car can't handle it. So Zeekr packed the 8X with serious technology. The chassis uses what Zeekr calls the Haohan AI digital chassis. It scans the road ahead using cameras and LiDAR, then adjusts suspension damping in real time. Potholes? Smoothed out before you feel them. Corners? Body roll minimized before it happens. The driver assistance system is called GASD. It uses 43 sensors, including 5 LiDAR units, and runs on dual Nvidia Drive Thor U processors with 1,400 TOPS of computing power. To put that in perspective, 1,400 TOPS is enough for level 3 autonomous driving and then some. This car can basically drive itself on highways and in complex urban environments, and because it's software-defined, it will keep getting better over time. The entire vehicle is drive-by-wire, no mechanical connection between the steering wheel and the wheels, no mechanical connection for the brakes. Everything is electronic, which means everything can be updated and refined over the air. All of this comes at a cost. In China, the 8X starts at 376,800 yuan for the base version. That's about 52,000 US dollars. The top-spec tri-motor flagship, 516,800 yuan, around 71,000 US dollars. Compare that to a BMW X5. A fully loaded X5 in the US is well over $80,000, and it doesn't have 1,400 horsepower. It doesn't have 900-volt charging. It doesn't have 5 LiDAR sensors. The 8X isn't just competitive, it's embarrassing for the Germans. So here's what Zeekr has built. The 7X is the practical choice. The family SUV that does everything right. Spacious, comfortable, fast charging, and priced to compete with Tesla. It's the car for people who need one car to do everything. The 8X is the statement, the hybrid monster that proves Zeekr isn't afraid to push boundaries. 1,400 horsepower, 900-volt charging, 5 LiDAR sensors. It's the car for people who want the absolute best, even if they don't need it. Together, they show Zeekr's strategy, cover every base. Electric and hybrid, mid-size and full-size, practical and insane. There's something for everyone. Are they perfect? No. The 7X's rear USB ports are in a weird spot. The 8X hasn't been tested outside China yet. Service networks are still growing. Software can be buggy. But as products, as engineering achievements, they're genuinely impressive. They're not good for Chinese cars. They're just good cars. Period. Zeekr started in 2021. 4 years later, they have a lineup that rivals brands with decades of history. The 7X is already selling in Australia, Europe, Southeast Asia. The 8X is launching in China now, and if it comes to Western markets, watch out. The question isn't whether Zeekr will succeed. They already are. The question is whether the rest of the industry can keep up. That's it for this deep dive. If you made it this far, you're a real one. Subscribe if you want more stories about the cars that actually matter. See you in the next one, and thanks for watching.